It has claimed the lives of 500,000 people, which is a grim milestone that has also highlighted racial disparities, not only in healthcare, but in education, housing, and access to resources. The Robin Hood Foundation was key to leveling the playing field by donating more than $70 million to fight COVID in grants to community-based organizations in underserved communities.
In an average year, POTS will assist over 40,000 individuals with our services. But due to the pandemic, this year we're looking at 2 million plus. Your situation today does not define what you will be tomorrow.
Black and brown communities we know suffered the most, and it was one man's mission to make sure that those communities were not forgotten. His name is Wes Moore. He's the CEO of the Robin Hood Foundation, and Wes is joining us this morning. Welcome to the Picks Up More News, Wes. Thanks for being here.
It's great to be with you. Thank you so much.
You know, Wes, what a year it has been, right? You've served as the CEO of the Robin Hood Foundation for 4 years, though. Under your leadership, Robin Hood, whose mission is to fight poverty in New York City, really shifted how it serves black and brown communities, right? So tell us about what you're calling the Power Fund.
So one thing we really wanted to highlight, and the team has really pushed on this idea, that the link between racial injustice and economic injustice are completely intertwined. You can't talk about one without the other, and the data continues to reinforce it. And the fact that race is the most predictable life outcome indicator that we have, and that's everything from education to health to mental health to maternal mortality. And so we started really looking into our own data and the data of philanthropy and realized that the capital that goes towards entrepreneurs of color and social entrepreneurs of color, it's a staggering divide. So for example, over the past 20 years, we've seen a 400% increase in philanthropy. Yeah. Yet at the same time, only around 10% of those dollars have gone to organizations led by people of color. Wow. And so we realized that not only is there an extraordinary bias in the way that even philanthropy allocates capital, it doesn't make sense, because the people who are closest to the challenges are also the ones who are closest to the solutions. And we had to do a better job of being deliberate. So we, as an organization, we created this platform called the Power Fund, which is now an $18 million fund, which focuses exclusively on supporting organizations that are led by people of color and also supporting the individual leaders themselves. And
so let's talk about that just a second, Wes. I want to jump in here because the Robin Hood Foundation, as you've been mentioned, one of the largest anti-poverty nonprofits across the country. But you grew up in the Bronx, which is one of the poorest congressional districts in the country as well. So how did that inform your tenure at the Robin Hood Foundation? How did that shape your mission there?
It actually has turned out to influence it in every way. Because many of the neighborhoods that I'll go visit when we do our visits with our team, these are neighborhoods I know. Many of the leaders who we get a chance to speak with, these are leaders who I have seen their work for decades. And I didn't actually realize until I got to Robin Hood that one of the first neighborhoods that Robin Hood invested in was one of the neighborhoods that I grew up in. And so you realize the fact that when you see that Robin Hood Foundation has been doing this work for over 32 years, has allocated north of $3 billion, that there's still so much work we have to do and ways we have to collaborate to get it done.
So Wes, we're looking at some of the video of COVID testing sites, right? And so during your 4 years as the CEO of the Robin Hood Foundation, you mentioned some of the money. It was $650 million that you helped raise. But obviously you had to pivot. And I know you guys focused a lot on poverty and equity, but a lot had to be focused in on testing in black and brown communities when the COVID crisis hit. How did you shift money and those resources? Where did you see it go?
Well, really where we saw a lot of it go was into things like emergency cash assistance and being able to support people, when these emergency cash shocks hit. We have a partnership with Columbia University called the Poverty Tracker, which is really giving us real-time assessments on where people are. The Poverty Tracker helped to illuminate this fact, and this is before COVID-19. About half of New York City lived in poverty for at least a year over the past 4 years. Half of the city. And so really what we did was, as we activated our relief fund and put $70 million into the field, it was really focusing on things like emergency cash, helping people with medical bills, helping people with school supports.
Wes, I hear
and that was really where we put our focus.
I hear such a passion in your voice, right? And it really just goes to show the groundwork you have laid there. So let me ask you this. I understand you're leaving.
Yeah.
So why leave when it seems like you're having such an impact?
Well, I think the organization is in an incredibly strong place, and I'm thankful for that. I also know that for the past 4 years, I have also been commuting back and forth, from Baltimore, where my family is. And I know that it's also not just the right time for the organization, because the organization is stronger than it's ever been in its 33-year history. I know it's also the right time
Wes,
for
hold
my
on.
family.
People are working remotely. What, you can't do this remotely?
No. Listen, you absolutely can do it remotely. But I also know that as we're having all our conversations about office reopening and everything along those lines,
Yeah.
I know that Robinhood is primed and poised as we have our reopening, as the city continues to lift up, that the organization is also primed to take off. And so I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited about the future for Robinhood.
I guess we can't talk you into
everything's gonna
staying,
happen.
right? That's just not happening here today.
No, I'll
Thank
be here until the summer. We still have a lot of
Okay.
work to get done before now and then.
And I'm sure
Understood.
you will. Thanks for joining us today, and the best of luck to you as well.
And by the way, Wes has a
Thank
book.
you. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Wes has a book out now. It's called 5 Days: The Fiery Reckoning of an American City, now out. 7:25.